Time now to go inside out as we welcome in Andy Martino from the winter meetings in San Diego. And a reigning Cy Young Award winner, a reigning MVP are on the market. Andy, let's start with the Cy Young Award winner. How much have the Mets moved the needle in their direction after talking with Verlander through the weekend?
They would like to think that they've moved that needle significantly, Eamon. They've done a lot of work in trying to reel in Verlander. Even before Jacob deGrom signed with the Texas Rangers, the Mets really were enamored with Verlander. The meetings have gone well. He feels like a fit to them. They love the idea of paying a veteran a lot of money on a short-term deal to keep that flexibility in future years. So they think it's perfect. And I was told that Verlander himself spent a fair amount of the weekend doing his own diligence on the Mets organization and figuring out if this was a place he wants to be. Now, the Los Angeles Dodgers are viewed as a real threat to the Mets on this, as are the Houston Astros, of course, where Verlander's comfortable. He's a big analytics guy. He knows what the Astros have and what systems that they have and how that helps him. So that's always something that the Mets have to worry about. But there's a feeling here that this free agency is not going to go on for too much longer. They're in a pretty intense phase of these talks. It could really wrap up at any time. The Mets are either going to be really happy to have gotten the big fish that's their top priority right now, or as with deGrom, they're going to see Verlander go elsewhere and then move right on to the next thing. Cohen has money to spend. They have big ambitions for this team. Verlander's the focus now, but they understand that they could lose him and then have to move on to other starting pitching targets.
All right, now let's jump to the MVP. What's the latest on the Aaron Judge sweepstakes?
That's another one that people think here in San Diego would very possibly resolve this week in the meetings. There's not really that much else to do. Judge has obviously had these in-depth conversations with Hal Steinbrenner. I'm told that those conversations went really well, that Hal had the chance to convey to Judge how important he was and how he was going to continue to build a winning team around him. But I also heard that the meeting the Judge had with the Giants went really well. So although there's going to be other teams perhaps on the periphery, those are the two main teams that appear poised to offer Judge that super mega deal that he clearly has earned and is looking for. So what's left but for Judge to decide? I mean, a little bit of upping offers, a little bit of last call. Let's see what the Yankees have. Let's see what the Giants have. Make sure no one else wants to jump in at the last minute. But there's really not a lot left to happen here, which is why people around the game here in San Diego think that that one is coming to a head. Perhaps not as soon as Verlander, but soon.
All right, so you say Verlander and Judge could happen soon, could happen this week. So how busy do insiders expect things to get this week in San Diego? Big picture, not just Judge and Verlander.
There's definitely that buzz going into these meetings that it's going to be one of those fun, busy ones. There's years where it's not. There was that year where Bryce Harper and Manny Machado were meeting with teams like a month after the winter meetings, and nothing was really going on here. That happens sometimes, and we'll see how we feel in a couple days and how we recap this thing. That could, of course, happen again. But industry-wide, teams, agents, media, people who follow the game, there's a sense here in this hotel this is going to be an action-packed week. Now, it's up to the players and the teams to agree to terms here to give us something to talk about, but that certainly is the expectation going in. And like you said, Eamon, it's a Cy Young Award winner. It's a reigning MVP. It's really big-ticket items, let alone your Trey Turners and your Xander Bogaerts and all kinds of star players that appear that they could be on the verge of signing somewhere. So it's not just action, but high-level action with big star names that could happen.